Well, we are live and hello everyone. I know most people are gonna watch the recording because we barely announced that we're going live. So we're gonna have a good conversation with our marketing guys to be have a
Back.
better have a better schedule. But yeah, we are making a couple of um, not changes, but maybe in the schedule adjust a few things. We will let you know in the next week or so for July. But yeah, we decided to come back and finish the chapter 16 of Isaiah. And yeah, we're excited here with Rachel. How are you, Rachel?
Super good. Super excited. Lots of fun things. As
Awesome.
always.
And Cameron has a very important thing tonight, so he is excused and he says hi and he might do some videos. He said in July on some topics, especially about our search diligently tool, which maybe we should do a little plug here for the tool. Let me see if I can. Uh, the, so if you haven't joined, just go to search diligently, and then you're gonna be prompted here to have a account, and then yeah, you can sign up for free. And yeah, I have access to everything we're putting there. And we had a meeting with our team, and there are a few more features that are coming in that we're very excited. And then after that, we will say we will have I don't know, a full prototype live. Although it's live right now and it's working and it's been great for us and so many people. I think there's still a couple of cool features that are coming.
Mhm.
And then yeah, and then after that we will retire and see what happens. But looking forward to that. Um, yeah, any opening remarks on the where we are, Isaiah 16, Rachel?
Not really, other than every year it's very different for me. This year was really different. I'm seeing a lot of interesting new things. So why don't you give
Yeah.
us like a overview of where we're at maybe?
And Lori asked a question, by the way. Hey, Lori. And she said if we will be live on Tuesday from now on. We don't know. Maybe we can do what is it called? A survey if there is a better day than Thursday. I think it's because this is a busy week. We have I think you also have something on Thursday, Rachel.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
It's rodeo season up here, so it's
rodeo
great.
season.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's gonna be great. And yeah, I have a wedding, so we're gonna be out Thursday. But if Tuesday might be a better day, I think we can be open to a better day. Maybe also doing a little earlier, 6:30.
Yeah.
Um, maybe we might play with that and see how we feel. Especially because I get too tired by the end of the close to 9. I start just when hallucinating and seeing double with my eyes. And, so
Oh,
yeah,
dear.
fun stuff. Let's see if I can slideshow. Boom. Okay, so well, maybe a quick background. We went over. I said,
We're on Isaiah 16 tonight.
yeah,
Say that? I can't. Maybe we said that. Okay, sorry. Good.
yeah. No, last week I said 15, and these two chapters are the is the burden or the oracle. The Hebrew word is burden against the nations. That's the context, and these two chapters are about the burden against Moab and how Moabites played such a important role in Israelite history. So we did a big background actually on Moab from Lot all the way to Numbers, right? When the children of Israel encountered them in the wilderness. We mentioned Ruth very quickly. We might have a couple more on Ruth
Mhm.
this tonight. But then, yeah, what is the type? What are the types of what Isaiah is trying to warn about these people? Who are they, and so forth? And so, yeah, I think we're going to give a little bit more context for the Moabites. we also went over the doctrine of Balaam, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we covered that. So if you can go back and because I believe that is very embedded in the idea of the Moabites as religion and how the Moabites now are going to get out of that system, and then they're going to transition to, well, the remnant that survive, and those who actually choose to do this, that they can come to Zion and become a Zion people. So you want to go over now
No,
some
I
background on
basically just kind of reiterate that each of these chapters that we're in this block from 13 to 23 represent like a category of Babylon. And so it seems like each of them, there's always a remnant who is saved or delivered, right?
yes.
I mean, so as an example, there's always at least like a hopeful note in all the destruction and things that is going on. So there's always a remnant. It's like there's always a hope of something. It's not all utterly wasted, even though mostly in these chapters.
And what is the chapter that so we saw in Isaiah chapter 12 that the people come, that's the song of salvation, people come to partake of the wells of salvation, and people then see the salvation of the Lord. The word salvation is Yeshua, which is the word for Jesus, but the word Isaiah, Yeshayahu, means God is salvation. And that's what we're going to see, that despite all of these terrible things coming in, that Isaiah is really depicting, when you start reading the Hebrew and the poetry, it's very dark. Some of these judgment that are coming. However, like Rachel says, the message is not that. The message is that God is salvation, and that salvation is extend to the nations now, not only to Israel, but also to these Gentile nations like Moab, which are kind of has some type of bloodline relationship with Israel because of Lot and Abraham. But then we're going to see Egypt, Damascus, and all the other nations that are going to be mentioned. So that always the invitation of come to the Lord, come to Zion, and then avoid then the other destruction. Despite that, we're going to see that people still choose to go other places, which are very symbolic of human nature, and then they face their wordless attempts for deliverance, and then Isaiah shows the consequences of that.
Perfect.
You wanna just go over this? Yeah.
Well, I don't know that we'll read through all of these, but after last time introducing Balaam, remember he was the one riding his donkey. I pulled out his four, in essence, the most parts of his 4 blessings that he does bless Israel with. And so I think I have like 3 slides about these blessings, and they are going to end up playing a part of what we're talking about this chapter a little bit. So maybe we come back to him if not, I just have him here so people can look over them when they have the slides, instead of having to go and find where his blessings are exactly. I don't know if there's anything you want to say about him.
Well, you want to highlight anything that you think might be
relevant? There's some interesting aspects just in relation to the lion is mentioned. There's strength of a unicorn mentioned. The lion that obviously takes the prey and leaves with it is there. Maybe let's go to the next slide here too. I'm trying to think of the idea that we're going to be talking about the tent of David tonight, and Balaam here, he sees Israel abiding in their tents according to their tribes. I thought that was interesting because it's showing they're in the order of their tribes in their tents, showing maybe like God's order of things and how Zion is, how things work in this orderly fashion, versus maybe the Moabite high place that is not, it's an incorrect order of worship of God or of dwelling, or however you want to put that. The other part, maybe, we've got the tabernacle here again, along with the tent. We have a garden scene, which we have like kind of a similar orchard garden scene in Isaiah 16. And what else? yeah, we've got the unicorn again there and the couched lion who lays down as a great lion. So we ended with lion last chapter, and we opened this one with the lamb. So there's some interesting aspects to that. I think there's one more blessing of Balaam. Let's see. And then this one I think is going to be particularly interesting because it says it's, he's going to show what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. Speaking of Moab to Israel, I guess, or correct? Seems like. So, and that Star of Jacob and the scepter out of Israel, that's going to play an important part in this Davidic tent and, having dominion over certain things and destroying the things that remain, like in a city, versus those who flee and leave a city. Those are supposed to flee the city and flee to Zion. Interesting too, this is going to, the Kenites or Kenites, they have a description of a strong dwelling place and a nest in a rock. That's going to play into tonight too. And the ships that come from Shittim, we'll get there later in Isaiah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's just looking forward even further. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's great. This can be a foreshadow of the Moabites as a type, right? And then what that means. There is a end time prophecy of this, because eventually the scepter, right? The scepter is always a connection to the Davidic king. So this is the idea of the Davidic covenant that is promised to David, then later in 2 Samuel 7. And then that really Christ came, of course, and came to establish the spiritual kingdom and to atone and to provide the way eventually for a kingdom on the earth to be established in righteousness. So then the millennial reign can come. So the kingdom on earth is established and the kingdom of heaven comes. So the scepter has always been promised to Israel, but it hasn't happened. And actually, we're going to go over some of that, right? Verse 5 in Isaiah 16 covers this idea of the Davidic throne being raised up again, and then in the end time being some type of gathering place of safety.
Yeah,
this is great.
Okay, just real quick, I was thinking, I last time we talked about putting maybe a chart together of all the place names and what they mean. So I started that. I got to look over it one more time, make sure I didn't miss anything. But I did it for 15 and 16. And just looking over these two chapters, they name so many different places. It seems like, obviously, Isaiah was very familiar and had a detailed knowledge of the geography at that time, or his time too, obviously. But it's like they read almost like a map, I was thinking. And in essence, he's pointing to all these places that get destroyed and that are wept and lamented over. And it basically, in the end, it's pointing to this idea that the people are not actually looking for the idea of this spiritual ascension, of going to the high place, of going to the center place. Or instead, like Lot and his daughters, they end up fleeing to Zor instead of fleeing to the mountain. And so it's kind of, he's putting a play on that idea, and those two places being the smaller place versus the higher mountain. And I just thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, it's like these are the cardinal directions, right? Of all of them represents types of spiritual types of I don't know, human nature, and what it will take to go to the direction that there is deliverance.
I think there's probably you could probably find some kind of pattern going through, because I didn't put where these are repeated. Sometimes they're repeated, and I bet you there's some kind of, you could make like a little travel map here showing all the different aspects of what these things mean. So this is from 15, and then I have 16 too, and I'll put this back in the slide deck for 15.
Nice.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. Any of them? Well, you have Zoar, which is the little.
Yeah, little or small, right? We're going to end there.
It begins there. Moab begins, and Zoar with Lot and daughters of Lot, and then ends then with the exile. So in context, just to refresh, right? Isaiah 15 begins with this invasion, this entity who is causing this destruction. They come as a thief in the night. That's the motif, the darkness, and then we see the scattering. People are going different places, and these are the places. And all of those are places of lament for Isaiah, and all of them have some type of meaning, although they were actually real places. But they represents, for example, what is it, Heshbon. That was some type of fortress. People go for water. I don't know if Egypt is here.
I don't have Egypt on there, but yeah.
But south is Egypt, so I think there is a mention on that direction.
Okay.
Yeah, so Egypt was for sure had the maybe military capacity. People had the assumption that Egypt could, I don't know, withhold some of these invasions, but yeah, eventually we're gonna move on to Egypt, and they can also, but they represent arm of flesh type of solutions.
Like trusting. Yeah, they go down into Egypt, right, to trust into Egypt's arm of flesh and their shadow. Yeah. Okay, yeah, and 16 too, just more places. But yeah, I really wanted to spend more time looking at these and see if there's some other kind of pattern that he's showing.
Nice.
It seems like it. Yeah.
And I missed a picture of, I had a picture of Ruth here, so you can imagine her. But maybe as a background too, is that there is, this message has these, especially these first verses, they show the integration, because the Moabites were always around the Israelites. They were never really integrated into the Israelites, and this is we're gonna see what it takes. But then Ruth becomes a type of that. Ruth becomes a gentle. The Israelites technically were not allowed in the camp of Israel because what happened in Numbers 22 and 24 was actually.
Oh yeah, they're not them, and
that's part of the Torah. It was part of the law, Deuteronomy, that they were not allowed in the camp. But then Ruth is a type of that integration, how she is redeemed, and you have all the story, right? With Boaz and the kinsman redeemer, how that is a covenant idea on that. And I make some bullet points. I wrote a paper a couple of years ago. These are just kind of the ideas of that. But then with Ruth comes into the covenant, right? She's redeemed, and then we see a couple of fun things, because one, she becomes technically a mother. We see Naomi, who then breastfeed the children. So you have this idea of a nursing mother, Naomi being an Israelite, and so forth. And yeah, and then that can be a foreshadow of the Gentiles as going through that process of a widow, a wife, a mother. What you see in some of the chapters later in Isaiah, when Isaiah 49, the Gentiles become a nursing father, nursing mother, and they play a role to the house of Israel. And so that can represent the bride, the Gentile bride, coming to the covenant with the Lord. So that's why the Moabites, they're invited now into the covenant in these verses, and can be a foreshadow of Ruth as an archetype.
Yeah, that's good. This is just back to remind us of Balaam's blessings and where they are, if you just want to find them to look at them there. Probably should have moved this at the front of those other slides. So you keep going.
Yeah, and maybe on context, this is a perfect sketch of.
I like this.
Well, we have Isaiah 14, and we came to the taunt against the king of Babylon, and he's in the throne. He's trying to reach to heaven. He's sitting in the mount. He wants to go to the sides of the north, and yeah, he's trying to do this by counterfeiting. He's not a rightful heir to the throne. And then the whole chapter shows the fall of him. And then the previous chapter was about the fall of Babylon as an empire, as a system. So you have now that going down, but now we're going to see what's going to go up, which is going to be the King of Zion. And specifically, it's the Davidic king, the 10th of David in Isaiah chapter 5. But there is a place now, Zion, there is deliverance. And if you look at the historical context of this is when we, at least we don't know exactly about Moabites, but we know that the king of Assyria is the one who is conquering all of these nations, destroying them, changing populations from one place to another, relocating people. And then people start making these alliances, which eventually are worthless. Isaiah 17 is going to be one of them, which is Ephraim and Damascus. But then the only place of refuge back then was Jerusalem, which is a place that most people, nobody wanted to go there. They were hostile to them, but then eventually became the only place and for safety. And King Hezekiah becomes this idea of Davidic king as a type of an end time scenario. So yeah, that is going down. But then whatever is happening in the wilderness is going to grow and go up. And that reverses the inversion that we have from the Babylonian system into a Zion society. It's going to reverse, where we're going to see, instead of oppression and place a ladder that was based on gain and using humanity as collateral damage for personal gratification, personal gain. Now that's going to be changed to righteousness, when everybody's going to have an invitation to come unto Christ. And yeah, Zion is a place of all of us being equal. And that was kind of actually the argument that the idea of the doctrine of Balaam meant, that people profit. They want to put a stumbling block, so then we don't become Zion, so people can actually profit from it. So that is, positioning these chapters as seeing the contrast between what Isaiah is trying to show us, as a parallel. Should we read some verses now?
Yes, let's hit it.
You wanna go at this first block? Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, 1-5 here. Chapter 16. Send a lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah toward the wilderness, to the mount of the daughter of Zion. And it shall be like a bird wandering, a nest sent away. The daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of the Arnon. Bring counsel, execute a decision. Set like the night your shadow in the midst of noon. Hide the outcasts, the wanderer, do not betray. Let my outcasts of Moab sojourn in you, be a hiding place for them from the face of the destroyer. For the oppressor has come to an end, destruction has come to an end. The trampler is consumed from the land. And a throne is established in steadfast love, and one shall sit upon it in faithfulness, in the tent of David, judging and seeking justice, and swift of righteousness.
All right.
There's a lot. Those verses, they kind of all went together, and I was like, oh, this is a lot for one thing, but
yeah, that's a lot. And well, these first two are for Moab, but then they bring counsel that is to Zion, and execute a decision. And there is some type of echo here from Isaiah 1, right? Seek justice.
Oh yeah.
Look for the widows. For the widow and the fatherless, and plead for the widow. Yeah. But now more than anything else, it's some type of shout to tell Zion what Zion should be, which is a righteous kingdom, where justice is overflows the place. There is no corruption, there is no desire for gain. There is, everybody in Zion is going to have the welfare of Zion, and which is going to be the welfare of the people, and that they're going to, because they're part of this covenant. We're going to go over in detail, but this is the idea of charity, is the pure love of Christ is going to be shared among the people, that is going to allow people to look each other in a different way than in a Babylonian system. So, and then before the slides, anything on maybe these first few verses?
Yeah, so I just want to get this straight. I looked at so many different aspects of this, and the lamb, what the lamb represents. If it's a lamb, there's one translation thinks the lamb shouldn't even be there, but I like the lamb there because we end in the lion before, so I kind of feel like those pairings go together. But so the lamb that's sent to the ruler of the land, so it's from Selah. Selah's the rock, right? You said
Petra, yeah.
Petra, right? And it's going to, so this lamb's going from rock out into the wilderness, which is weird because like you send the goat out into the wilderness, right? But this is different. Like this is the lamb. This is not Azazel. This is like, different. And it's actually going to the mountain of the daughter Zion, right? Specifically. And
yes,
I read somebody's commentary where then they think the next few messages after 3 and 4 are like a message that came with the lamb of what Zion should be doing, like that the lamb came with a message in essence.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I hadn't ever noticed that before.
But that would mean the Moabites are the one bringing that message,
because it comes from them, right? Because like Petra and the rock there, we talked about it in 14, I think, right? That's like the one that's kind of by Mount Hermon.
Yes.
Right? And that's below where like the gates of hell are.
Yes.
And they do a lot of like pagan worship there. Okay. So yeah, interesting. Just kind of looking at those different pieces of what the lamb, maybe represents. And I give it carrying a message. Yeah.
I think we can go over some slides and then come back if we have.
Yeah, that's great.
Another beautiful diagram of.
This is good. I like this.
Maybe that should be before the slides, but this was the. I don't know what they're showing you, the direction that Moab is destroyed. Moab shares similar idea of the Babylonian destruction. Mm-hmm. Moab's also they become there is some type of destruction. I think it's the same idea, but now we're focusing from the lenses of Moab. Moab becomes the hermeneutics that we're gonna look at the text, mm-hmm. and we see that. One, there is no more Moab. Moab is going to go as the verse says here. It's gonna fly like a bird. It's a nest sent away. So the daughters of Moab, which daughters always is an allusion to the cities, and mm-hmm. maybe there's deeper symbolism there of what daughters means. But in Hebrew there is no article. So I read this paper that made a very good case that the real name is the daughter of Zion. Sorry, the daughter Zion, not the daughter of Zion. That's the English translation. There is no article in Hebrew or the daughter Moab, the daughter Babylon, and so forth. But we see that then without the place, because the place is going to be absolutely taken over and destroyed, then where you go, and that becomes that options, right? People go to the fortress. Mm-hmm. People gonna go south. I think Zohar is a representation of going south Egypt, mm-hmm. And then so people are gonna go to the high place at the end of Isaiah 16, which we're gonna talk about that. I think you talked about Chemosh last week.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
That's false worship, and then the other place was the waters of Dimon and the lions are there. So mm-hmm. the people are kind of funnel in different directions, right? But human nature again takes you to the places that you trust more, and it's very kind of intuitive. Trust the Lord in a moment of stress like this, and that's gonna really be the difference of groups: those who trust the Lord and then those who. Because Isaiah is telling you this is coming as destruction and showing you a way out. And then he's going to give you a timeline, like there are 3 years for you guys to prepare for this. So they knew about it and they knew that the way out was going to go to the wilderness from Selah. We're gonna maybe cover that in the next slide, but take the send a lamb, and the lamb here is a tribute, it's an offering to the King of Zion, and then that's the only way that this tiny tent that probably is insignificant compared to all of these places is the only place that can provide covering. And that the word for to atone is the same word for covering. That's the place of deliverance and refuge. But just to show you
yeah, I love that's the
map.
Great little map there. I like.
So if we are the Moabites, we're gonna print this so then you put in your backpack. So when
I think I'd like a printable copy available.
When you're running away, you can kind of look at the map and know where to go exactly. So
I love it.
Okay, and this is more like another perfect drawing. So this is the from Petra, the rock, and this is, I don't know, because whereas in Isaiah later mentions a 52, 50, 51 from the rock, that look at the rock from, what is it, that were hewn.
Wait, the one with Abraham and Sarah?
Yeah. So the rock.
Yeah, look to Abraham and Sarah, your father who bore you.
Yeah.
Or the hewn out of stone. What are the why can't I'm getting two translations stuck in my head. It's Isaiah. Is it?
We can look at
it. We have to look it up now because I have to get the words right. This is a problem. I go back from
the whole principle is the rock can be a symbolism of
rock out of the quarry from which you were hewn.
I don't know actually the King James, so I will say rock.
What is the word?
Abraham.
Is it quarry? Yeah, it could.
Nope.
You could say look to Abraham.
And 51. Look at that. So look unto Abraham your father. So it's
Sarah the bear you for calling it's the one. Oh, it's one verse before that. Verse 1. There we go.
Look unto the rock, hence you were hewn, and the hole of the pit, hence you are digged. So it's a way for the Lord to take them out of. So it's like a womb place, right? And the pit is more. That is, and I saw in 1 Nephi 14 there is this pit that's been digged by the Ovinable Church. It's a spiritual lowering that is leading the souls of people down to hell without them knowing, and the Lord is going to take them out. But anyway, all of that is symbolic of.
It's kind of like
thank you out of
Joseph when his brothers drop him into the pit, right? And then from that moment, it shows him, being in this low point, and then he has to ascend out of it.
Yeah. That's
different, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the wilderness always is going to be this place of reconstruction. So you are going to the only place of reality. The city is the simulation. It's not real. You have a lot of buildings, a lot of lights, a lot of noise. Noise is a big motif here. It's not brought down to silence, but it's not really. There is no substance, and there is no like glory. Like the word glory is kavod, means weight. So there is not really substance, but the idea of the city that has been built by the great city is Babylon in Revelation 18. So now you go to the wilderness, and again, that is a.
It's like the opposite of the city, right? It's like
the opposite, yeah. And now this is the path. This is now becomes the way for you to actually find that straight narrow path, which is the symbolic. There is a spiritual journey also happening in our lives. We're trying to get into the gate, the straight narrow path. And then the one thing that we don't maybe apply this, and I'm thinking about this, is that our offering, a broken heart, and a contrite spirit, we do it more as a voluntary offering rather than a tribute to the King.
Yeah.
Because there are different angles of the covenant.
Different purposes, but.
Yeah. But if you look at covenants from a vassal, suzerain perspective, the offering becomes becomes a tribute,
Yeah.
and he's a king. He's the king of Zion. So maybe it puts a little more weight to the responsibility of do an offering to the Lord. But yeah, and the offering is going to be eventually that. Let me put this full screen. Yeah, and as a collect, this is also a question I have. This might be because it's a collective offering as the Moabites. It's one lamb, send the lamb.
Yeah.
That is an imperative, send, and then it's this the lamb. It's not.
So could it be if we're talking about like one lamb, could it be like one person who's willing to make a like a huge offering sacrifice for the remnant who comes out of there, right? Like because of him, he's the one that saves them in essence, like, or
yeah, it can be an intercessory role of somebody. It can be the people willing to offer a broken heart and a contrite spirit. That's another one. But I think there is something more. I think I have perfect. I have a slide, but that's going to be the mount of the daughter of Zion, and and this goes back to 2 Kings chapter 3, and here as we see the King Joram, he is imposing the Moabites a tribute, and the Moabites were this what is it called? They were
like
sheep masters,
farmers,
farmers, right? They had a lot of sheep. So you see in King Mesha, king of Moab, was a sheep master and rendered unto the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with the wool, and this became more like a burden, and that was a way for them to kind of let's keep them happy. But it was not really it's the opposite of what we're gonna see here, which is what the Davidic king is expecting. He's not expecting to impose something for personal gain, from possession, from physical wealth, rather than
one lamb represents something more powerful than just like a plethora of too many lambs. That is like, that's not what he's looking for. Like when the Lord in Isaiah 1 where he says like, I'm sick of all your
worthless
offerings and this and that. It's not what I want. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so it's one. This is the math, right? The Lord Isaiah is making, because Isaiah knows the history of Moabites and all of that. So what the righteous king is requiring is maybe a true lamb versus thousands of worthless.
Like blemished lambs, like an unblemished lamb versus just many that doesn't represent the same thing. And
good. This also leads to the conclusion that you cannot gain your way to Zion with any type of other material means rather than a pure offering. So Cheryl, actually, let's see her comment. Maybe has anything to do. I saw the word lamb there, cheap clothing. If the outcasts of Babylon and come as a lamb, they must be lost and needed a shepherd. They have fled Babylon, so is the decision made that they are not the wolves in cheap clothing? What do you think, Rachel?
Well, I like the idea of a single lamb representing many that are lost and coming to the King of Zion as like a shepherd, because King David was a shepherd. We have Christ as a shepherd. I mean, it's a great type of another layer of symbolism in there. I don't know about the wolf in sheep's clothing. I don't know any reference in relation to like this specifically, but to maybe there's a parallel with their leadership in Moab or something that are like wolves, and that kind of whole storyline. I don't know, what were you thinking?
Well, I like the idea of a sheep and the need of a shepherd. I think that's directional too. That we're trying to cruise correct the course of the other directions now to being led to one direction. So yeah, I think there is a motif there for the idea of a shepherd. And yeah, maybe let's read one quick more comment. You want to read this, Rachel?
Yes, from Trusting God Always. You spoke of cities not being reality. I felt that when I drove through Banff, Alberta, the whole place felt artificial, like a movie set fake. I couldn't wait to get out of there. I haven't ever been there, but there are places that, well, actually, where I grew up, my husband loves to tell me that it's like the Truman Show, because I grew up in like a very clean city that was like all planned, and there's no power lines above the ground or anything. Everything's underground and it's nice and clean. And so then, like, he always says he's from the other side of the tracks. But yeah, I understand that idea of feeling like reality isn't real. I think a lot of people said that when Charlie Kirk got there. They felt like, you know, so many aspects of life weren't real and so much of it is, you know, fake. So I understand that completely.
Yeah, and that this is a French philosopher who came with this book, Simulacra and Simulation, and talks about this idea of what is reality and how actually today cities are a representation of simulations, and he says that the only real place is the wilderness. And this book is what inspired the movie The Matrix.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
Neo has this book in his bookshelf. I think
Oh, really? In there?
Yeah,
that's funny. I love when you can find those kinds of things.
Anyway, yeah, that's.
I do love like Canada and the wilderness, though. There's fun aspects of that. That's beautiful. I think when you get out to nature, I mean, if we can say the wilderness is represented by nature, there is a shift in reality and, like, you know, closeness to nature and the earth and the plants and all the things that you can't feel when you're walking over everything that's concrete and the buildings. And, you know, there's a different vibe for sure.
And when it comes to worship, and that probably is something that you see here with the Moabites, is that they rely on physical elements that help their worship. So they have to have, that's the idea for the idol. So they have to go to the temple, to the synagogue, or high places. And the wilderness, yeah, it's just your ability to focus yourself, you and the Lord, and that's it. That is not a physical, nothing handmade that can actually, you will need to have to support yourself. Can you hear my kids crying, by the way?
I can hear them crying, but that's okay.
It's bedtime, and
so I know sometimes you don't want to go to bed.
That's what I'm here. Just
sorry, honey, I got to do class. I can't do bedtime. Dad's always in charge of bedtime at our house. So, but I don't have any little kids anymore. It's much easier than that. Okay, the other thing I was thinking too, just in relation to building a high place. And a lot of those things like the ziggurats and whatnot, they're building an artificial mountain, right? Like they're building this artificial landscape that's supposed to represent like the garden place and Zion and Eden and all these things. But a lot of times, you know, they build these mountains, they build these things. It's not a real, you know, it's in its likeness, but not in a real sense of it. And I think that's kind of another interesting.
It's a horizontal ladder that gives you the impression that it's actually a ladder to heaven, but it's been built not for, it's not necessary for, and it's the buildings, it's not their fault at all, it's human nature, right? But it's how you approach things. And this applies to everything can be an idol. And how much you are actually doing things because of motivations, right? Your motivation can be fear, can be gain, can be sometimes even the desire of you make sure you're winning your own personal salvation, right? I need to check mark to make sure, but if that is not really intent, then that is false worship. And we have to learn. And the wilderness will be a place for us to learn who, like section 93 says, who we worship, verse 19, and how to worship.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for the comments, Cheryl, and trust in God always. Perfect.
That's what we're trying to do. Okay, the daughters of Moab. So we mentioned them in verse 2. I couldn't help but think they're only located in this spot in Isaiah 16:2, and then in Numbers 25, like verses 1 through 3. Those are the two places that phrase daughters of Moab appear. So it seems like there is something uniquely interesting with that in relation to then in verse 1 of 16, it talks about, daughter, the mountain of the daughter of Zion, or mountain daughter Zion. So if we're looking at daughters as cities, I read something probably different than yours, but same idea about there being daughters representing city. I'll have to go into that when we get a little further into some of these other city topics. But I thought also looking at daughters as actual daughters as a type would be interesting, because I just thought, okay, so there, we have Israel coming into Shittim, and then they begin to commit whoredoms with the daughters of Moab. And so if they are representing like a category of people or a way, that they're acting and defiling things, I thought, okay, let me just think about any other daughters that maybe, fall into that same category. And so obviously we started with Lot's daughters, and that it's through wine that they get their father to instigate this incestual relationship with him. And that's where Moab comes out of. And then I was thinking of the daughters of men in relation to, in Genesis 6, we have Moses 8 and Moses 5. They're the daughters of men. They call them like these, beautiful, fair daughters that the fallen watchers come to, and they procreate with them, and they give birth to these giants. So again, just another example of daughters, and maybe the incorrect order of of a carnal relationship that could be paralleled with a spiritual relationship or a marriage or any of these things.
And it's the mingle, right? It's the mingle of
mixing seed and
going the boundary of what the Lord established as order. And then because that's the word adultery, it's to change. That's kind of the root idea of adulteration. You're changing something into something else. And all of these represent that crossing boundary from one order to mingling with another system.
Which is a no, unless commanded to by the Lord. So okay, so then the haughty daughters of Zion, I just thought, it's funny, like let's throw them in there, because that's, Isaiah gives us this long list of all the foibles that they have and all the things that they need to correct on their way. And why I keep thinking too about why we have this negative aspects of daughters of Zion. And would you say, like through the book of Isaiah, like that Zion herself actually has to become Zion? Like we're talking about like the haughty daughters of Zion in chapter 3, but that's not like the typical Zion we're talking about that, has already arrived at this holy, beautiful, wonderful place. It's more like an aspect of those becoming Zion. Okay.
Yeah, those becoming Zion. Yeah, she is going to the dust. And Isaiah 3. And if you keep track of it, Isaiah 47, the daughter of Babylon, because the daughter of Zion, they're playing the harlot in Isaiah 3, and then you see Isaiah 47, the daughter of Babylon playing. She's a harlot. She's a witch, actually. In Isaiah 47, she goes down and then raised up from the dust, Isaiah 50. So it's like, okay, who's raising up from the dust? So it's kind of the same woman going down, and the same woman going up as now becoming Zion. So we play the harlot, and then boom.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so and then I thought of in the book of Ether, the daughter of Jared. That's actually a great chapter we read on just all the things.
Very dark chapter, actually.
Right? Yeah.
I read again like this. Ugh.
Yeah. I wanted to I could have done a whole slide on just going through that chapter for this kind of type of woman, but yeah, she reminds her father of this ancient book. that they brought with them over the waters, and you can use these secret plans to obtain kingdoms for great glory. And then so she dances for Achish, and he thinks she's fair and beautiful and offers her whatever she wants. And she, her and her dad had decided that they would ask for the head of Jared's father, so that then, basically to kill him, so that he could take the kingdom from his father. So, there's lots of conspiracy going on with that, and her father, which is weird. But then also in the New Testament, we have the daughter of Herodias. And remember, she's the one that dances for Herod. And basically, she does the bidding of her mother by asking for the head of John the Baptist. And the reason why Herodias did that is because she the wife of Herod's brother, and he ends up marrying her. And so there's I think
very messed up.
But yeah, John had said, that's not lawful for you to, take your brother's wife and do that. Right? Yeah. So she's mad about that. And she's like, get his head. I want it in a charger. And so, so her daughter dances and does that. So with each of these, there's some conspiracy going on with, one of the parents and somebody's head in a kingdom being taken over, or, that's the plot behind it. But so I thought that was interesting. I just thought they're worth mentioning and looking at maybe further.
Interesting how we see this trend in society. You start seeing all of these patterns and realities, right, in the scriptures, and then you start seeing it everywhere in our lives, where now there was a trend of people that start going to these social platforms, women especially, just to dance, to get people, to corrupt the people. Yeah, they get corrupted, they get into different platforms that, the only worth of this woman is just to dance, and men become, of course, corrupted. No, that is, they are the ones who, it's a complex situation. I'm not saying that it's woman's fault at all.
Yeah, no, everybody's fault. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like society go to this bad expression of Babylon now as a physical reality of what we see as archetypes, which tell us where we are in time, right? This is something that needs to come down, and it's been a burden among God's people too. So
that's funny you mentioned dancing. So I have
nothing against dancing, by the way.
No,
I'm a terrible dancer. I cannot dance. I'm nursing a knee injury right now. I'm like 7 weeks post getting bucked off my horse, and I had a 2nd-degree tear of my MCL. And so the one thing I've noticed, besides the fact that I can't ride and walk and all these other things, it's like I realize how much I like to dance, like when I'm doing the dishes and things, and I'm not dancing for anybody but myself. I like to shake my booty for myself, I guess. But yeah, it's just such a funny thing. And then I came across this and all the dancing that these women do for men, and I thought, oh wow, it's interesting. So there's also a good version of dancing too, and we do see, like, isn't there David dancing? Yeah.
Doing some kind of troll. So, everything has its good and its bad aspect. Okay. And then one last thing I just wanted to hit on with this, which I was thinking of. So if the daughters of Moab they're part of this block of Isaiah's chapters, right, that I talked about earlier, 13 to 23. And each of these nations in that block, they contribute to the type of those who stay with Babylon, right? Like, unless a remnant of all of them come out, but as a core, they stick with Babylon and they don't flee to Zion. So then I was thinking, well, if they're part of the Babylon category, then you can say that they're, in essence, they're daughters of Babylon, or they're daughters of the harlot. And so I was thinking, well, there's some scripture, there's a verse, like mother, like daughter. It's actually in Ezekiel 16:44. And it says, everyone that useth proverb shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter. Now I'm pulling that out of context. I didn't get to go look through that chapter. It's kind of on my to-do list to look back and see what that's all about. But
that's a lot about, temple corruption was actually the law, the faithful woman who becomes harlot. So
see, there you go. I figured it would be applicable.
No,
but
yes.
Right. So then just again, here we have, Mystery Babylon from Revelation 17, verses 3-5. I'll just read she's the one who, it's the woman sitting upon the scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness in her fornication. And upon the forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And so I just thought, oh, you know, it's a great type of showing that anyone who stays within this category, you know, the mother of Babylon, or, you know, the mother of the harlots, Babylon becomes their mother, and, you know, like the mother, like the daughter, and so forth.
Yeah.
And I know there's not enough heads and horns on that drawing, but, you know, sometimes I cannot get it right, even if you tell exactly how many you want.
No, that's probably the biggest, the hardest image to make. But if you, and this is the archetype. These are priesthood colors. This is the high priest colors, the stones, the silver, the gold, the purple, the scarlet. That is the high priest, and the high priest in the forehead has holiness to the Lord, but she has the abomination. Yeah, he's the mother of harlots and abomination. So the higher you go, it is a hierarchy. The higher you go to get a positioning in the world, the higher you need to make an abomination. So that's why the people at the top, they become ritualistic, and you can know by a fact, even if you don't believe in the Epstein files. The scriptures show by a fact that at the highest level, we're talking about human sacrifice, and the world thinks that abomination. So she offers that, and that's what you become drunk from that. And she rides the beast. The beast is empire of the day, so there is always an empire ruling the world. The fact that she's riding the beast represents that she wants, the only way to get positioning in the empire is to prostitute yourself with her. So then, and that is this whole dynamic of what that means, right? There are levels of this currency, and that's pride. All of us partake of that in some way, but for her, which is Satan is playing the whole plate, and Satan's playing Babylon, and sections 86 it becomes false worship. So this is the counterfeit of Zion, but it's very complex because it's embedded in all of our system, our work and transaction and currency, are religious to our own religion. There is a counterfeit that is not. That's why the wilderness is this lowering down of this entity. You have to now reconstruct in the wilderness to understand what true worship means, what Zion means, and so forth. But she corrupts everyone, and then everyone plays the harlot, and that's what we're seeing.
Bad news. Okay, we also talked about the daughters of Moab and the fleeing the nest, or the nest is fleeing with them as birds. And so in the second verse I have here is Numbers 24:21, and that was actually from one of Balaam's blessings to Israel. He mentions the Kenites, and he says he looked on the Kenites and took up his parable and said, strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock. And so also in Jeremiah 48:28, we have this idea of, says, O ye that dwell in Moab, I leave the cities and dwell in the rock. Leave the cities and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the hole's mouth. The idea of building your nest in this craggy rock, in this place, representing more of a safety, but they're going to be pushed out of their place of safety. It's funny too, because I looked at pictures of the fords of Arnon where they cross there, and it's a big rocky place. Like, it drops down really far. And I thought, where are the places where are the fords they even cross the Arnon there? It's really interesting. You guys should look at pictures of that. I didn't know which ones I could use, so I didn't put any on slides, but the nest in the rock is a very, very symbolic.
And so then boom, make sure
Yeah, where are we
so
at?
we cover that.
Into, yeah.
It's like a bird wonder. Yeah, now the nest is in a way, so there is no nest. So they're flying around, and now they're exposed to predators, right? So
Mhm.
so where are you gonna go? And here is because I don't think we have this verse in the slides. Just want to make sure we cover. But bring counsel, execute a decision. This is
The cause, is that like the cause?
the castle Zion, and
Mhm.
Zion now needs to become this place of justice. So Babylon was injustice. Now Zion is gonna offer justice. So now all the outcasts of Moab, those who are wandering, don't betray them, let them in. So, and there are a couple of, I think also with the people in Arabia and Isaiah 21, the Lord also said to the people in Zion to make sure that it's justice. You need to treat well those who are like the Ger, those who are the sojourners who are trying to come into Zion. And more than anything, more than maybe the people there are learning to be Zion, so it's an invitation for them to actually how to behave. But more than anything, to me, this is an exclamation of Zion to be Zion. It's what
Mhm.
to contrast how the oppression was in the other system. So yeah, in the midst of noon, sorry, said like the night of your shadow in the midst of noon, hide the outcasts, the wander, do not betray. So the nest isn't going to be in Zion technically,
Mhm.
and people come in. This happened in the night, so as a thief in the night. But now there is this other type of, I don't know what it says doing here, parallelism here on the night become as a shadow, because yeah, it's noonday, noon is there's no shadow.
I have a slide. I forgot to add it to the deck. You guys can see it after.
Okay, perfect. And anyway, so then we see that led by outcasts of Moab. So these are the where's the map? Perfect here. So these are the people who are wandering. They are showing them a way, and the word to wander actually can also be going astray. But
Mhm.
my people have gone astray. All have gone astray. Right? Isaiah 28:7, 2 Nephi 14, verse 11. So 2 Nephi 28, verse 11 and 14. So you have this, what they're saying to us is, yeah, that and we see people wandering too in the Lehi's dream. You are showing them a path away, and then the people who are wander now, Zion has been Zion has been told to show mercy. If they bring the lamb, they're gonna be let in. So that's why the offering is so important. And then yeah, because now the destroyer, this is the king of Babylon. There is a triad here that he's been destroyed. He comes to an end. Destruction comes to an end as a whole. So now, what is the opposite of the lowering down of Babylon? Now it's going to be the throne. There is a throne established in steadfast love, and one shall sit upon it in faithfulness. So the king of Babylon was a counterfeit, trying to go higher by his own means, growing pride, being an oppressor, taking advantage. And now we see the Davidic king, who is going to be a rightful heir. Faithfulness is going to be like the gird of his loins, Isaiah 11. And then in the tent of David, judging and seeking justice and sweet for righteousness. So, yeah, so we have now this, what is the tent of David? So that's going to be the next slide. So, and this goes back to, actually have the verse here. So I want to make, I didn't know we had the verse here, but the in Amos 9:11. So you see at that day always is the day of the Lord at the end time, will rise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. And this word is also tent.
Mhm.
The tent of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as the days of old. And yeah, there is an allusion in when the Ark of the Covenant was actually in the tent of David, literally. But the tent of David represents the covering place of the Davidic covenant, and that's why the connection with David. And yeah, so it's falling down. Eventually needs to be raised up. And here you see the parallel between Zion and Davidic covenant. Is there a relationship, right? We sometimes it's hard to see that relationship between, because we assume that the Davidic covenant is only for the Jews. They have the right to that because that's the house of David. But if you really read the scriptures, the throne of David is the throne of Israel. It's not a tribe throne. And it's the throne of Zion. So there is a connection between becoming Zion and have a throne that somebody from the line of David can sit, and he's going to be a righteous king. And then the book of Acts also mentioned that, and maybe I can read this now.
Yeah.
This is similar to what we read in Amos. It's almost the same, but we're reading from the Septuagint probably, so that's why the translation is going to be different. After this, I will return and build again the tabernacle or tent of David, which is fallen down, and I will build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up. Same idea, but then here the verse changed from Amos 9, that the remnant of men might seek after the Lord. And that's what you read also in Isaiah 11, right? That there shall be a root of Jesse, and the Gentiles shall seek him, right? That's the phrase. And the Gentiles here are the nations. Moabites are Gentiles and so forth. So the tent of David needs to be raised up first. There's this idea of Zion as a tent. And then it shows you some type of process. So it has to be some type of, we need to put it up together.
Like the raising of the tent, it takes more than one person.
To build a tent, yeah. I probably, without my wife, I cannot myself put a tent together. But, and then, so then the purpose, so is the remnant, which is what happening here, right? The remnant of the Gentiles, of the Moabites. And this is different. Upon whom my name is called, said the Lord, who do all these things, so they can come to the place. And there is this tent theology in the book of Isaiah. But if you read, the tabernacle of David is going to be built in mercy. And that mercy here, or steadfastness, love, that's also in Isaiah 55. And that represents, the love that God has for his people. And that's the root of the Davidic covenant. So when we achieve, I don't know, Elder Bednar in last conference gave a talk on enduring to the end. And he paralleled enduring to the end to the idea of obtaining the gift of charity. Then that's the journey. And I will argue, that is, because when you partake of the fruit, what happens? And you are filled with the love of God. And then what Lehi wanted to do right away is to others to partake.
Then you want to turn and share that. Yeah,
exactly. So it's
and you bring everybody to that.
And that's the root of the Davidic covenant. It's a beloved, the name David is beloved. So it's a loving relationship. Now, Davidic covenant itself in 2 Samuel 7 requires it's telling that from the seed of David, a rightful heir who's righteous is going to sit down in the throne of David, and then they will never be moved. So when these 10 start going up, that becomes the stake, right? We are going to establish that place, becomes the center place, and then it's going to grow. And that's what you see in Isaiah, how all of these tabernacles start becoming the courts, start enlarge the place of thy tent, lengthen the cords,
extend the cords, strengthen the stakes. Yeah. Well, and also it seems like it goes from this idea of being like a traveling tabernacle tent to then one being maybe of like a firmer foundation. Like because if it's going to be seated and planted to no more be removed, it's like it's in its final place.
Yeah. Finally, that won't be moved no longer. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Right,
and
that's
and
cool.
Matthew 11, and the Using translation says that the kingdom has always been taken by violence, but the days will come when the kingdom will never again be taken anymore, because of the righteousness of the people is going to become a safe place, and people cannot go to Zion, right? That's like people at Zion are going to be terrible and all of that. So it will become a place of refuge. So
yeah, that's good.
Let me read this so you go after the slide. So we have heard the pride of Moab, exceedingly proud, his haughtiness and his pride, his overflowing rage. Not so at his boasts.
Yeah. I just last week in Isaiah 15, I talked about the Moabite stone here, and I just thought I would, or the Mesha stele, and I thought I'd mention it here, just based on the text that's written on it. I see. It seems like the pride of Moab is not specifically Moab's pride, but just pride is a huge theme we come across in all scripture sources and outside of scripture sources as well. So basically the Moabite stone, it's kind of like royal propaganda, and the themes include national greatness, military success, divine favor, public boasting, triumph over Israel. It's very similar to like in Isaiah 14, where we have the king of Babylon in there saying, I did this, I did this.
I did that, all the eyes.
Yeah, all the eyes. Okay. So the tone is celebratory, self-exalting, and it's never humble. They credit their god Chemosh for empowering their achievements, and Mesha, who's the king of Moab, he repeatedly says, I conquered, I built, I restored, I defeated. And so there is this pride that comes through very clearly in this, because we have, who is it that talks about boasting, not boasting of themselves, but boasting of their God? In the Book of Mormon. I can't think of who.
Oh, Ammon?
Yeah, it's Ammon. Yeah, it's Ammon.
When I think Aaron is worried about him boasting too much, and then I rejoice in my God.
And so the idea of the Moab being so boastful and
Alma 26,
of themselves and not of their God, because ultimately I think you come to a place and where you realize, anything that comes of any greatness, it comes because of God, right? And like that, just I don't know, it's a different relationship of a trust and loyalty with God, and to credit Him, than it is with taking the credit yourself. And we see a lot of that in politics nowadays, where people become so full of themselves and the things that they've done and accomplished, and maybe it is some to them, maybe it is some to their God, I don't know, but either way.
And this is the idea of leaven. The leaven is pride. You're puffed up, and the new leaven is Christ, which is the inward growing and instead of external growing. Maybe again, you give me a thought. Do you mind? Oh, you have more. I
just have one more slide so we can talk about
it. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, we can keep talking, because basically just these are the things that are listed in verse 16. And I have a dog and a guy on here, because I was thinking about when you see a dog that's barking really ferociously, and their owner will tell you, oh, they're just all bark and no bite. They don't really. And so I was thinking maybe that's how Moab is, because it says that they have these false idle boasts, like they're lying, like they don't, they're boasting, but they're not. They're false. They're not real. They can't back up this pride that they have. So that was just what I was thinking with that.
Yeah. And you see them in Isaiah 15 when they come, like the armies, all of these people who were so prideful become terrified.
Yeah, and they turn and woo, they're quaking in the boots.
They're crying. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the couple of maybe verses, and the idea of exceedingly,
what does that word mean? I haven't looked into that word much.
I know the Hebrew, but
it's like when you get to exceedingly high mountain, like it's something like it's the utmost aspect of that, right? Like it's only used.
This is about the Gentiles. This is classic Nephi 16:10. At that day when the Gentiles shall sin against my gospel and shall reject the fullness of my gospel and shall lift up and the pride of their hearts above all nations. So you have here this excess, right? It's this,
Yeah.
you are above. So the question here is, okay, the Gentiles who are upon the land, um, which we're going to celebrate 250 years anniversary, right?
True. Yeah.
They are lift up in the price of their hearts above all other nations, above all the people of the earth. This is what Nephi is saying. And so that is
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
I
Crazy.
thought, sorry if anybody's from Argentina, but Argentina was the most prideful people in the world. But no, it's these Gentiles that Nephi. No, I have
Hey, they have
one-
Messi. They have a good soccer team. They get to hold some
yeah,
pride.
let's not talk about World Cup right now. Chile didn't qualify, and our rival Argentina is having a very good
It's all right.
5-6 years of run. So they're wonderful people. I have very good friends. Anyway, but yeah, the Gentiles here are above all nations. They're doing this similar what the Lord is saying about Moab. Like they have exceedingly pride. They're prideful. And what is that, right? And it's hard to understand what is the pride that, like you said, I really like the slides that we think that we are a great nation because, right? What is America? Just using a parallel here because it's 4th of July. What are we, a great nation? And we need to be careful how we have the wonderful economy, the most brilliant people, or amazing infrastructure. Instead of that, we recognize that the foundation is because of the Lord. And that's why, where is it? So who is the one who says, I write to the Gentiles so they know where their blessings are coming from. That's Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's in Mormon chapter 3.
All over the place so often. I feel like that idea. So it's like, so you know that I'm God, and you know that I'm the source from which everything comes. Yeah. That's a good one.
Okay, so and after this is the Lord Christ speaking to the Nephites, and after that ye were blessed, then fulfilled the Father the covenant which he made with Abraham, saying, in all seed, and thy seed all the kindreds of the earth shall be blessed, unto the pouring out of the Holy Ghost through me upon the Gentiles, which blessing. So it's this blessing of the pour out of the Holy Ghost upon the Gentiles, which blessing upon the Gentiles shall make them mighty above all, even unto scattering of my people of house of Israel. So if you read those chapters when Nephi is having the vision, when the Gentiles come and the power of the Lord is upon them, it's very focused that the Lord is the one who is empowering and allowing the people. They are the ones who empower the people to fight the motherland and become a free people, rather than we have this wonderful army of people and we beat the people from England because we are so strong. That's sometimes we have to be careful how we position our greatness, and I think that's something the Moabites fall for. Sorry.
Everything.
Yeah, and then that's like I love what you said, because that is emptiness. It's not if the Lord says, okay, you want to boast on your own strength, and he wants to test us about that.
Yeah, go on your own strength.
Yeah,
give it a
well,
try.
good luck. Good luck.
Yeah. Okay, we're at a new block of verses, right? Okay, so 6 was that transition. Okay, so you want to read these? You want to read these?
Yeah, I'll read this. So this section now becomes, you want me to read the hard names.
Yeah, I gave
it. So now becomes the block of Isaiah 1 gives you the path to Zion. That's a solution. Verse 6 transition. Now that the Moabites I have seen the boast, the pride of Moab, and because of it, probably most of them are not going to come to the tent of David. So if the Davidic king show up, he's going to be probably rejected. That's why we are making the assumption here more than anything. And And the reasons are going to be, because of pride and whatever the dynamic of that pride is, that doesn't allow us to have any type of bias to actually not accept and provide an offering. Then all of those things are gonna be playing into consideration, which is going to be an extension of pride. Anyway, so therefore Moab, because of the pride, therefore Moab wails for Moab. All of it wails. How you pronounce that? Wales, right?
Where are you? Sorry, I missed it.
The 7, yeah.
Yeah, Wales. Yeah, Wales.
For the raisin cakes of Kir Hasereth, you shall mourn, surely stricken. For the terrace fields of Heshbon languish, the vine of Sibma, the lords of the nations, have struck down its choicest vines. As far as Jazer they reach. They wander into the wilderness. Its shoots were spread out. They cross over the sea. Therefore, I weep with the weeping of Jazer for the vine of Sibma. I drench you with my tears, Heshbon and Elalech, for upon your summer fruit and upon your harvest the shout has fallen, and joy and gladness are gathered from the garden land. And in the vineyards there is no singing, there is no shouting. Wine and the winepress and the wine presses, the treader does not tread. The shout I have cast to cease.
Okay. Real quick, it's funny in Balaam's blessing of Israel, there is something about the king shouting in there, the shout of the king. And I wonder if that has any correlation with this in here, because
for sure.
Have to look into that.
And that is the land of the what is it, buzzing wings. You're gonna read that in Isaiah 18.
Oh yeah, the land of
the land of spectacles in Isaiah 22, which is Babylon. It's a lot of noise. A lot of noise becomes something that it's not worship. It's
noise, right? It's like
it's noise. It's just noise.
Noise, as in a bad, negative connotation. And there's a lot of noise. It's a good description of
society.
And then just so much imagery and all of our technological things versus when you get out to the wilderness and it's quiet out there. It is like there's no hum of electricity unless you're going to have a data center by you, but it's the wilderness, significantly is much more quiet than a city. And there is something I think that has effect on your nervous system and on your mental state and all those things. Anyways, don't get me started with noise.
Say that again?
So don't get me started with noise, I guess. I have lots of opinions on that. Okay. So.
And we have a lot of. You're right. It's very hard to go to a place without. Noise can be also distraction.
Yeah. A noise, was it a tumult, a noise from the temple?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tumult. Yeah. And
the raging of the sea, the roaring of
the roaring.
Roaring and raging. Yeah, the sea is another motif that has noise involved.
And you're right, because in the communication schema, like noises interference.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's technically in the way of listening the still small voice. And so the idea of lowering all of this is going to come into silence now. And maybe there is celebration for its own boasting now. It's going to come. There's no noise technically, which at the end actually people cannot even speak. So all the shout I have cast to cease, and that word for cease, same root for Shabbat, which is to rest. Cool. So that's why the earth shall rest for 1,000 years, probably, from all the.
Yeah. So I jumped right to the weeping for the vine. Do you want to hit the verses right before that a little bit? Do we want to talk about? Or do you just want to go here?
Well, we can. No, we can go over. Yep.
I mean, so we have a lot of garden. We go back to the verses real quick. We have a lot of garden imagery coming on here real quick, and now we're gonna look again at the landscape of this map that we've been, visiting all these different places and what's happening. And if you remember, we go back to verse in 15, 6 talks about how everything's withered and there's no green thing anymore, right? And the green, we didn't get to talk about it too much last time. I have more slides I could add to that deck too, about green representing, if you're looking at a tree, it's the leaves, it's the covering, it's the foliage. It could represent the same idea, like Rodolfo mentioned, kafar, the covering in the tent, and the atonement. All those things are represented by that green thing in relation to a tree. And if you look at like Adam and Eve, when they make their little fig leaf loincloths, that says that they hid among the trees, right? So like the covering of the other trees even hides them and represents a covering in some ways too. So here in 16, we continue with that here, and it's supposed to be this time of like the summer or the fall fruit harvest, right? And usually that time is like people are rejoicing, they're celebrating. It's like, anciently there was lots of holidays around this,
on
like,
the renewal.
Yeah, and then you see why, because like, if you're depending on the land for your food, which if like we are still these days, but we're not as akin to realizing that connection, and if there's a frost or what the weather's like. So if you do have fruit, you have reason to celebrate, right? But they have no fruit here. There's no wine treading, there's no wine, there's none of these things, that each of them are all very symbolic of something else too, by the way, the fruit, the wine, the treading of the wine, the squeezing of the grape. None of these things are happening here. And so I assume that it's Isaiah who's weeping for them, but if it's not him, somebody's acting as a type for a person who weeps over the vine and their lack of all these things, right, that normally are celebrated. And so he's watering this dry ground, this, in essence, like the vineyard, the orchard, the plant, with his tears. And then that could represent like an intercessory prayer. It would show this love and compassion, like to the
covenant,
charity, right? The ability to have, and what's his name says that the Gentiles need charity, basically, because
Moroni,
right, that godly love is the thing that then moves you and is your motivation and your center for everything you do, not only for yourself but for other human beings, right? And to perform a role where you are able to weep for somebody to this degree, to intercess for them and bring about maybe some growth. Because the next verse after this, I wonder if is it because of his weeping that then it says joy and gladness are gathered out? What does it say? It says in 10, joy and gladness are gathered out. And I thought, is it because he weeps that then those that are left that are actually represent a category of joy and gladness, they're gathered out and they're gone? Or is that playing into it? Maybe it's playing in a different aspect. I wasn't sure, but
it's like it can be that. It can be also that joy and gladness are taken from
there is none
from the place who was the garden place at some point, right? They render in Genesis 19, I believe, it's this wonderful garden, and so now it's taken out. And I think that is such a strong imagery here of Isaiah, weeping. And I had a thought, forgot about it, but we'll come back. Well, there's a drought. So Amos said there is going to be a drought of heating the word, right? And the day shall come, right? And that drought, we usually in our church culture, we think, oh, that was a great apostasy. And you read, come follow me, I preach my gospel. And that's one of the verses that missionaries teach, to say that there was an apostasy. That drought is in the end time. And maybe now as the charity, as the weeping, as the mourning for Zion, that's going to actually bring those tears to create some type of the seed to start growing again. So that compassion.
Well, because also, like we were talking about that, there was that book about Moab, and somebody commented if they thought like Isaiah was like sarcastically weeping or making fun of, in essence, like And I thought, I don't think there's any sarcasm or like making fun. I think when you arrive at that place, you are actually having, you're mourning and lamenting and weeping for a lost people, right? And hoping that there's someone to save. Like with Abraham, when he's like, hey, God, will you save Sodom and Gomorrah? If there's 50, will you save 50 men? Will you save 10? Will you save one? Will you, whatever the remnant is, will you save it? And so I think there's like, again, that play of Abraham to Lot happening here, since these are descendants of Lot, somebody has to rise from that place and act in that way on their behalf.
Yep. For some having other translation, we have it here. So we're putting a whole translation. Here it is of all of the chapters. So we forgot last verse, and I don't have a copy feature here yet. Like we haven't searched diligently, but coming soon.
It'll go there. Yeah. Sorry, that's the BSB one. So there we go.
Which is great. It's a good translation. That it's not a literal translation though.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying the literal. Actually, I know it reads a little bit hard, but it's interesting just to get the basic concepts and then go back and look at the words in Hebrew. So I'm enjoying that this time. It's fun to do it differently, and I like doing different translations. It's very enjoyable.
Okay, you want to read the last blog and then we go there.
Therefore, my inward parts for Moab, like a harp moan, and my inner being for Kir-Heres. And it shall be when it is seen that Moab has wearied himself at the high place, and he enters the sanctuary to pray, but he is not able. This is the word which Yahweh spoke concerning Moab from old. And now Yahweh has spoken, saying, within 3 years, like the years of a hired worker, the glory of Moab shall be brought into contempt with all great multitude, and a remnant, small, insignificant, not mighty. So basically this is like the winding up scene of what, like we have chapter 15 opens with Moab and going to the high place, right? Like they go to the high place, and here we're ending again at this high place.
Yeah, and that's the. Let me show you the map one more time. Yeah, they're gonna go to the high place, which is the sanctuary of their God, right? And
their high place, their false worship,
And that's the DNC one, right? That they. Which, if you read it, it's very. All of this is very end time language, but verse, where is it? The voice of the Lord, the arm of the Lord shall be revealed, blah, blah, they sing not, to establish his righteousness, but every man walketh in his own image after the image of his own God, whose image in the likeness of the world, whose substance is that of an idol, which waxeth all and shall perish in Babylon, even Babylon the great shall fall. So the image of his own God, that sometimes we think we're worshiping God by doing lip service to the name of Jesus, but if that's not bringing fruit, then that is a different worship. So these people are going to go back right to that high place rather than go to the wilderness, to the tent of David. And that in fact the verse 11, like therefore my inward parts for Moab like a harp moan. So the harp here is an allusion to David. He was a famous
harp player. That's right. Remember, he plays for, isn't Saul like tormented by evil spirits or something?
Evil spirit, yeah.
He plays the harp to help him.
Yep.
So basically, these people go to their high place thinking their idol worship, their prayers to their God is going to save them. And I mean, this is like a spoof on their sanctuary versus David's tent, tabernacle, sanctuary, right?
Yeah.
And they're not able.
These literally are temples. Yeah, by the way. These are, they're going to their temple, and it might be something comes. You might think, you can go to a temple and find refuge. We might, but we need to be careful to what voice, right? If we're called to go to the wilderness, and the wilderness is the place.
I was going to say, I'm not promoting anybody taking their kids and going to the wilderness or anything. I know sometimes this happens.
No, yes. Whoa, no.
Yeah, I'm not promoting that. Anyway, this is just a type in a story here, and symbolic examples of such.
Yeah, and this is what we read too in these chapters is when it's too late, when the night comes too late already. So now Isaiah's going to give you these 3 years of warning. And so it's telling you that the people were warned before all of this happened. So they warned, this is Isaiah 15 is coming. All that awful destruction is coming. I show you a way out. You still want to choose because of your pride other places. And now you have 3 years. So it's like that's the type of I don't know. He's bouncing around. At the end, he's is foretelling what is coming, and then now it's up to the people. But yeah, what you read here is people going in haste. So people who go to Zion won't go in haste, and so yeah, that's something that we have to take into consideration. That it might be different than just think, we have to run away. More than if there is a warning, we can talk about that in a second. But it will be there will be time for people to prepare and go. Maybe not. Maybe there's patterns that the Lord shows. Everybody wants to go to a different journey. Maybe that's a better principle. That you have to be in tune with the Spirit, and then. Yeah, but I believe the more grounded you are in truth and the scriptures, and not in following interpretations or men or even being afraid. Don't act in fear. We cannot act in fear. I think people who act in fear, they do erratic things. So
yeah, the fear is not a good motivation. It does cause you to do things in haste. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have like a handful more slides. We're almost there. Sorry, Rudolph. I know it's like getting close to your bedtime.
That's okay.
Okay. So in the verse there, it mentioned that Moab is weary. They become weary, and when they enter into their high place and try to pray, and they're unable. And so I just thought this was a great verses from Isaiah 47:12-5. Just kind of showing the same element of what this looks like. It says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. And we are talking about counsels in this chapter of Isaiah 2:16. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as a stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee, with whom thou hast labored. Even thy merchants from thy youth, they shall wander, everyone to his quarter, none shall save thee. So there's this idea of these idols and sorcerers and enchantments that are unable to save, and the people wander and no one's going to save them. And so that's the same, like the wander and the sojourn. It's like, and being the bird in the nest without a nest, no place to go, and very, very, very similar. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And so, then just that idea, I was thinking of being weary and what that represents. We have the Lord he's weary of his people in one of the Isaiah chapters, and he doesn't want to be burdened by them any longer. And so I thought, okay, the opposite of being weary is this idea of like rest and renewal, refreshing strength. Basically in Isaiah 40 verses 28-31, It says, hast thou not known, hast thou not heard that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainted not, neither is weary. He giveth power to the faint and to them. And so faint and weary, similar words, same idea. Okay. Giveth power to the faint and to them that have no might. He increaseth strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord, that's the key to get there, shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and walk and not faint. So that's kind of a contrast of those two ideas there of what can happen. And then in Colossians 3:9-12, it talks about putting off the old man with his deeds and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. And we talked earlier about like the false version of imagery of your God, but this is talking about the real true God and being renewed in the knowledge of him and after his image. And so again, it goes on to talk about the elect of God, the holy, the beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. And that's again representing that category that's like David and the Davidic covenant and that intercessory role and that kind of love that allows you to be able to do that for someone else. And then lastly, again, within that category in D&C 84, 47, 48, everyone that hearkeneth to the voice of the Spirit cometh unto God, even the Father, and the Father teacheth him of the covenant which he has renewed and confirmed upon you, which is confirmed upon you for your sakes, and not for your sakes only, but for the sake of the whole world. So again, here's this idea of a covenant specific to the Father who renews and confirms it upon you. And it's not just for you, it is for you, but it's also for the sake of the whole world. And so that would symbolically represent, something that you do for someone else. And I just thought, I like that as a good way to show that it doesn't have to end on a sad, weary note of Moab, not being able to perform and at their temple and receive deliverance, but there is this aspect of what, not being weary can look like.
Do the eagles take all their wings before they cannot renew?
Oh, like do they molt their feathers off of them? Like
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah, but they get very beat up.
Like chickens. Yeah, they look horrible before you're right. It's kind of like a descent before an ascent.
Yeah.
Feathers. Yeah. Okay. So we contrasted weary and renew. And so then I was also thinking, in this verse from Ephesians, it says that if it so be that I'll just read this, then I'll tell you what I was thinking. If it so be that ye have heard him and have been taught by him, meaning like Christ, as the truth is in Jesus, that ye put off concerning the former conversation of the old man, right, which we mentioned before, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, that you put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. So I was thinking about renewal and being taught, and this 2 Corinthians where it says, for which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. And so again, I was thinking, being taught by the Lord, this renewal of day by day, this totally goes in with Isaiah 50 verses 4 and 5, which we talked about in Isaiah, the foundation week too. I did a whole thing on that. So if you guys go back, I want to look more on that. But basically it says in Isaiah 50 verse 4 and 5, the Lord has given me the tongue of the learned, that I may sustain the weary with the word. He awakens me morning by morning. He awakens my ear to listen as one being taught. So basically the idea that this morning realm and the morning by morning is a time to be learn from God, be taught by God. And this person in Isaiah 50, that's what it enables him to then speak special words or a certain phrase or teachings, understanding to the weary. Those are weary that, he'll help pick them up and strengthen them to do more and be more. And so, Rodolfo, you want to add anything to that?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of in the morning motif, like the day star, right? The morning star. Mm-hmm.
It rises in your heart. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's early, meet the Lord early. That's in DNC also. I believe 84. Early seek me, early will find me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like priority. That's the idea of your God. Is you have a hierarchy of priorities. Like Jordan Peterson always mentioned that. But whatever is at the top, then that's your God. But then the Lord is the morning star. Now think about the counterfeit of Son of the Morning that we just read in Isaiah 14. So he's been brought low, and then Isaiah 15 begins with darkness, because that was kind of the reality of what it was. It's similar to Isaiah 5. You have those who wake up early in the morning to continue to drink, right? They're not becoming awakening, actually spiritual awakening to the Lord, to exercise now your spiritual faculties so you can experience that renewal every day, that born again and so forth. But that's why all the nations of all of these chapters, Nephi quoting Isaiah 29, he's saying that it shall be like a dream in the night. And it will be like a dream that a man is eating, and then he's not, and then he's drinking, and then he's more empty, because our lifestyle is not giving us anything of substance. While the Lord's way is prioritizing Him, put Him first, do an offering, and then every day prioritize Him. So that's the idea of being spiritual, conscious worship daily. And it's the idea of a morning, of seeking Him early, and then the Lord can teach us and help us to grow.
I was thinking of Alma 34:33 too.
The day of procrastination. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I beseech of you that you do not procrastinate the day of your repentance until the end. For after this day of life, which is given us to prepare for eternity, behold, if we do not improve our time while in this life, then cometh the night of darkness, wherein there can be no labor performed. And so, that night is very symbolic of what can and can't be done in the daytime too. I like that. So this was just another contrasting the night with the day. I don't know if you want to go into this. We've talked about this. Maybe we haven't.
Yeah, that's a Yeah.
But when I was doing the day and the dawn, you made a great observation about this contrasting idea of what this night looks like in relation to wine. I thought that was a good. You want to talk about it?
Maybe I need to remember everything I wrote on that. So.
You have to. I know. I'm so glad that you have to go back and remember things, because you remember everything.
No, I don't. Well, if you ask me at 7.
Yes, that's true.
You ask me at 9.
You just hit the window where you start hallucinating, and you can't.
Yeah, I start hallucinating right now. But and the strong drink. Well, I know on strong drink is in Isaiah is it becomes a stimulation, right? You drink is not enough anymore, so now you have to find other ways for you to make it even stronger. So you have become more sensitive. What is the opposite of that?
Desensitized.
Desensitized. Yeah, exactly. And more. I think Nephi said that to Lemon and Lemon. Yeah, you stop. Stop feeling your heart.
You go past feeling. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, something like that. And so then, it becomes, then you need more and more stimulation, and that's the idea of that Babylon ladder, right? And but those are, again, interference with reality, and so if you look at Isaiah 5, woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, so they want something very strong, and men of strength to mingle strong drink. And you can look at it from the perspective of mingling drinks, right? One is the religious the cup that Christ offers, like the sacramental offering of the chalice of Him, like his blood. But then when you mix that priestcraft is mixed with power, with Babylon's drink, that's very stimulating, and that's what people because then we justify wicked for reward, so that's a completely allusion to Babylon, and take away righteousness for the righteous from him. And yeah, and I think that's the whole idea of pride. Pride needs more. You're never enough. It's never enough. You need more attention. You need more power. And then that creates. You're willing to do things to receive more praise, and you want to be more notable. And so all of our dynamics with how we relate to people are affected by how we partake of Babylon's drink, because eventually we don't see each other as family, we see each other as competition. And yeah, it's a real problem, and that's why the Nephi mentioned they envy one another in their churches in Isaiah 28. And yeah, how it is that you go to church and becomes a competition of who speak more, who dress better, who gets a calling, who it's completely the opposite of what Zion is. But that's why some people, they become addicted to that. They're never awake, so then they wake up early in the morning to just keep drinking more.
Yeah, so, instead of following the pattern of like morning by morning of like this tension pattern, morning. Yeah, they follow. It's like morning, and then we follow immediately with strong drink, and so that's like represents like that night category in the harlot Babylon with her glass, you know.
And what do you do first thing when you wake up, right? How many people right away go to their phones? How many people right away go to do things that are not necessarily start the day right? And praise the Lord and offering something, and find that the moment of your daily putting out your heart to him. So you start with that foundation and then go with your day like that. But it is hard. It's not that.
Sure, yeah. I was not.
It was super hard, but
not a morning person. I'm not by nature.
It is possible.
Yeah, I did spend a few years repatterning my first thought of waking up of wanting to swear and have to get out of bed. Instead, I switched it over to be like, "Good morning, Lord," and it was so much better. But it took a long time and it was hard. Yeah.
Yeah, but morning also type of prioritization doesn't mean.
Yeah.
I think it does mean that. I think there's something good about getting up early and do things, but it does mean about.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. What are your priorities? Your
early.
early things, who you put first, and all of that.
Yeah, I agree. So we talked about this kind of already, but I did want to point, we did talk about in verse 7 of this chapter 16, we talked about the raisin cakes, and they actually wail and kind of moan, whine over these raisin cakes. And I thought, okay, it's in relation to like the fruit harvest or, just having food maybe. But also I thought this is interesting in relation to Numbers 6:3 here. It says, he shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar or strong drink, neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dried. So like maybe there's, symbolically something that they're specifically whining, wailing, crying about their raisin cakes. That has to do with, type in this. And then we just have, again, like the airing through wine and the strong drink and getting out of the way, again, in Isaiah 28:7, and then in Luke 1:15. Again, it's just talking about not drinking wine or strong drink. And then we do have being filled with the Holy Ghost there, but okay.
Sorry.
No, you're done. You're good. And then the 3 is our last. What do you want to say about the number 3? I was very careful not to do 3 or 33. I was like, I'll do 4 3s, 3 trace 3. So
yeah, that's well, somebody asked a question. I think was
the question.
Let's see. Yeah, so Cheryl says, what is it the 3 you're referencing? So we can go to this slide in a second, but maybe go back to the verse. And now this is the word. So this is the closing statement. So he's doing this is the word here. This is the prophecy which Yahweh has spoken concerning Moab from old. And now Yahweh has spoken. So this is what the Lord is saying within 3 years, like the years of a hard worker, the glory of Moab shall be brought into contempt. So the glorious, this is the kavod, the weight, which is nothing right now. That's why it says showing you shall be, it's worthless. It's not, there is nothing in society today, military power, money, cryptocurrency, there is nothing that has any type of influence preventing what the Lord is going to bring. So that kavod, that glory, that boasting shall be brought into technically nothing. So what is these 3 years, right? So that's the question that I think Cheryl has, and I think all of us.
We all want to know what the 3 represents.
So you want to go first?
No.
Then I do my. Okay, so one way to look at it is that there is one, Isaiah husband shall be, 75:23. So everything that we read in Isaiah is a type for the end time. So we see here a warning given before judgment. And then if you go to, what is it, in Isaiah chapter 20, so this is the oracle also against Egypt. Well, it's some type of historical event, but then what is it? So it's then, so Isaiah, the Lord tell, go and loose and the sackcloth upon your loins, and your sandals you shall remove from your feet. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. Now he's not naked.
It's like uncovered.
He is covered, but nothing under it. So he has like some type of sackcloth, and there is nothing behind. There are no layers of clothing. That's what. So people think he was
naked.
No.
He was like, looking.
No, but he was working on sackcloth and.
Got it.
Well, yeah, it was some type of tunic, but that's it. That you can, yeah. But and Yahweh said, just as my servant Isaiah walking naked and barefoot 3 years, a sign and a ponten against Egypt and against Cush. So between 3 years, then there was a telling that Egypt was going to be technically, destroyed. So by Assyria. And then we're in what chapter? We are in here. So now you saw a parallel there between that 3 year of warning, 3 year of Isaiah walking.
And it's a sign, right? It's a symbol.
Yeah. So it can be that. It can be that it's gonna be some type of warning of 3 years before things happen, before the destruction of Babylon. Yeah, how that comes, the word of the Yahweh has spoken. So that is a spokesman, and that's what you read in Isaiah chapter 6. Even Isaiah chapter 1, you see that the word of the Lord, the mouth of the Lord has spoken, and the mouth of the Lord, and in the book of Amos, and in the book of Amos and Hosea and Micah, it's Isaiah. They when they quote Isaiah, that he's the spokesman, so that's why they repeat so much of Isaiah's prophecy. So it makes sense that there might be a spokesman who will actually introduce this to the people, and so that's one theory. The other one is that, like the years of, so it's like when you have like unto it, doesn't necessarily means exactly, right? It's like a in similitude of the years of a hired worker. So a hired worker doesn't work for 3 years, can work for many years, but it's saying we will work only for the time he's hired to do the work, no more. So this is also a way to say, Isaiah give them a warning on time, and then after that time there will be no more warning. So that's another way to look at it too, that whatever the time will be set, that's the time that's set for people to repent. No a day more, no an hour more. You will have this time, and it's some type of decree. So that is some type of announcement that has been made and is set into motion after that. So whether we will receive 3 years of warning, or a set time, meaning that this is the time, so then you know you cannot procrastinate that time. That is yet to be determined, but a lot of people think it's a 3-year warning. Yeah, sometimes I like to I like to see multiple alternatives and then be open to have my eyes open when these things happen, because anybody can come and say, "Oh, 3-year warning," and that is the.
I think it's been said by some people already.
It has been said, and nothing has been fulfilled yet. But
yes, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd like to make a case for some other alternative views too. Just I'm curious. I don't know what they are or would be, but we'll have to look into that. Okay, I think that was it. I just showed the places in Isaiah. You talked about the one in Isaiah 20, and I just thought this was interesting in Acts 20 through 29 to 31 here. It just kind of ties in a few of the things we talked about. It says, "For I know," this is Paul speaking, "for I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves," it's funny, the wolf comment, but I guess we're going to end on the wolves here. "Grievous wolves entering in among you, not sparing the flock. Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things to draw away disciples after them. Therefore watch and remember that by the space of 3 years I ceased not to warn everyone night and day with tears." And I thought, oh, that's funny. That kind of just tied in our 3 years, the night and day thing, and like the prophet or person watering things with tears. And the tears also represent that category of willingness to love and feel that compassion for others. So that was kind of a good one.
Yeah, that's very good. I never noticed that one. So that's fantastic. Oh, okay, but we don't want to give you a timeline. I think I said it's not timelines more than sequence and patterns, and then let the dominoes fall, right, and then be alert.
Yeah, I agree.
Rather than go in 2000 is now from Saturday, the 4th of July, it's been 250 years, so now count 3 years. So it's not, I don't think it's like that. It might be.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to eat humble pies if I'm wrong, but I do believe it's going to be a warning, though. That's a pattern here. That's kind of the main takeaway, is that, yes, the Lord, people say there won't be warning. I think that the Lord, there is a pattern. And actually, to finish, maybe, so this is in 2 Nephi, to highlight this verse when you can and search diligently. But here, so let me remove that. I think it's 9. Let's see. Okay, so, and as one generation have been destroying among the Jews because of iniquity, this is God's judgment. Even so, let me make this bigger.
Nice.
Okay, so even so have they been destroyed from generation to generation according to the iniquities, and never, this is a pattern, never have any of them been destroyed, save it were foretold told them by the prophets of the Lord.
Oh yeah, that does seem like that's a pattern there.
Yeah, that's what Nephi is telling you, that that is a warning, and I know the Book of Mormon in itself is a warning to the Gentiles, but there has been records of prophecies that Israel might be destroyed. It's still the Lord sent us a spokesman. That's the whole book of Amos. So when you read Amos 3:7, that the Lord shall not do nothing unless he shall share his secrets, I'm translating from Spanish to English, to his servants, the prophets. And we say, oh, the Lord will always use a prophet. The context of that is that the people in the kingdom in the northern kingdom, the whole religious people were not prophesying. And Amos is this shepherd who doesn't want to go and prophesy. And he comes and the high priest tells them to go away, don't prophesy to us. And then Amos said that, the Lord will never do anything unless and that's why I'm here, because you guys don't want to prophesy. I don't want to prophesy either, but the Lord is saying, "That said the Lord," and then He says, "Shall the lion not roar?" and so forth. So there is always some type of warning before things are coming. Even if the people who are in charge are not giving the warning, the Lord will find somebody else. But this is what Nephi is saying. There has never been any destroyed, save they shall foretold by the prophets of the Lord. So,
That's good. I like that. That's a good one.
Right. We have some comments from, let's see if a few. I think that was from your slides on the night. This is Jessica.
Yeah, it does represent
our friend Jessica. Yep.
Sleep and death, for sure.
We have, let me stop maybe sharing this or remove. I like how Isaiah 40:31 doesn't just say like fly like eagles. And the Hebrew uses a lot to ascend with, dang it, I wanted to fly like an eagle, but yeah, the image is ascend. Yeah.
Yeah, the ascension.
That section 100 and something Doctrine and Covenants that shall ascend in your mind as on eagle's wings. So it's like the mind becomes a place of ascension. And those who wait on the Lord are covenantally bound to heaven. Yeah, wait upon the Lord is not passive, expecting something more than they are holding on to the covenant, and that represents spiritual movement. So that they change their exhaust strength for His strength. He lifts them like Israel on eagle's wings and the Exodus.
Yeah, so I was thinking, is that Deuteronomy 32, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. The imagery in that is great. So beautiful.
Yeah, this was probably on my comment that church becomes some type of competition.
Oh, it's funny. The nurseries, I've never been in library. My husband and I have been in nursery and primary a lot, and he's always says nursery and primary is the best place to be with the kids.
I've been hanging out with my little one in nursery and have a lot of fun. And I don't want to criticize it all, but I was shocked when I got here my first week and my friend took me to a singles ward that, wow, it's different than what I was coming from Chile. That's a sort of beauty contest, but it's okay. That was the purpose of that place too.
True.
Good. Psalm 75.
Good note to look at.
We're gonna read Psalm soon, and I'm very excited. The whole book of Psalms there is a very fun. I have a book that goes into dividing Psalms into these end time structure. So.
No, interesting, but that will be fun.
Yeah, so that's the Lord's camp of red wine, mixture, carefully prepared, pours out according to His judgment. Yeah, wicked drinks and bitter dregs, last drop. Yeah, the chalice is a whole analogy. Righteous receive with honor and raise up. Yeah, that's great. And no, please share the comments. We love to that we're talking to some people. Know that we're not just. We are. So Rachel, we will share a schedule for the next few weeks, and we do want to take a break because that is something we want to work on that will help the whole idea of Search Diligently to take off more. We have been kind of waiting, but then the Isaiah class is here, so we want to keep doing the Isaiah class, but maybe have a little break to focus on a few things, and then we have a bunch of stuff we want to launch and show and share, and
so many fun things. Yeah. It's hard to switch topics midweek, but it's super fun.
Okay. Have a good 4th of July, and
happy 4th.
Enjoy
the freedom while we have it.
That's great. Bye-bye.